Set your alarm for August 13th. That's the first day of school for students in the Victoria ISD. And a reminder for drivers to slow down in school zones. If you haven't registered your child for school, it's time to get moving.
We encourage everybody, let's get our kids registered so we can get them scheduled and ready to go for that first day of school.
The Victoria ISD's window for campus transfer request has closed, so if you wanted to try and get your child registered at a school that is not their designated home campus, you'll have to wait until the next school year. Interim Superintendent Randy Meyer says attendance is a top area of focus this school year.
We are looking forward to having every kid back. They're our students too, and we love them, and we are going to provide the best educational experience they can. We need to work on attendance. We need every child in school every single day because what we do matters, and educating the children of Victoria is our top priority.
The former superintendent resigned from the position in the spring. Several community meetings and a search are in place to ensure the district gets community input on the search for a new district leader.
So we are encouraging everybody in this community to have a voice, and the survey will have questions about what they want in their next superintendent.
If you're considering a career in education, there are several job openings within the district. Meyer says the district welcomes former teachers who may have left the classroom but are ready to return. Carolina Astran, KAVU TV 25 News Now.
On Friday, August 9th, the district held its yearly meeting, a gathering of all district employees to kick off the school year. For more on back-to-school resources and links, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. So here is your viewer poll this afternoon. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, how many days is your child absent each school year? Do you have perfect attendance, more than 1 day, less than 5 days, or less than 10 days? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Now, Victoria County deputies arrested a 22-year-old man Friday, Robert Washington of Houston, facing charges of theft of over $300,000 from an ATM machine and unauthorized use of a vehicle. He remains in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $250,000 bond. Over in DeWitt, county deputies arrested a 26-year-old man. Jason Gonzalez is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He is in the DeWitt County Jail in lieu of a $300,000 bond. In Calhoun County, deputies arrested a 37-year-old woman. Amanda Azell faces 4 charges, including burglary of a home and unauthorized use of a vehicle. She is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of a $55,000 bond. And now let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. These are the current temperatures around the area. We peaked out at 97. It's down to 96, 95, 98, all the way up into the Edna area. Now this hot weather is really not going anywhere. In fact, it may get a little bit worse. Can you believe that? We'll talk about that and take a look at the tropics coming up in just a moment. Back to you, Karina.
Mac, thank you. The Texas Attorney General is investigating CenterPoint Energy after its widely criticized response to Hurricane Beryl. It took nearly 2 weeks for CenterPoint to restore power after Hurricane Beryl. The lengthy outages amid the scorching heat triggered anger and frustration. Now, Attorney General Ken Paxton's office will investigate potential state law violations, including allegations of fraud and misuse of taxpayer funds. Meanwhile, CenterPoint has announced a lengthy action plan vowing to improve before the rest of the hurricane season. Trump supporters from across the country gathered in Zapata for a massive Trump train rally this weekend. Together, they showcased their support for the former president.
Lines and lines of cars and trucks and flags waving high, showing their support for Donald Trump, lined the streets of Zapata. Many people from near and far, like Joe Davidson, came from Swally, Louisiana, to show their support for former President Trump. Trump supporters traveling hundreds of miles.
It's about 10 hours. We have family here and love to support the family along with Trump.
Joe and her husband joined about 10 counties that participated in the South Texas Trump train. Webb County being one of them.
Hopefully this will send a message that we want President Trump back in office. We've seen what's going on. We've seen the economy. We've seen wars starting to develop. We've seen the no control over the border. That, you know what, we're united when we stand behind Donald Trump.
A prayer and the ceremony got underway. Topics of interest included border security, the economy, and oil and gas.
Now, Donald Trump, he's pro-gun, he's pro-life, he's pro-God above all, and that's really important in a Hispanic community and also in a Catholic community.
Supporters saying they want change in the next 4 years and the return of President Trump to the White House.
To make our country great again. We can't go with something that's going to keep burying us, so we have to go with Trump.
Liseli Garza, KGNS News.
Police suspect street racing caused a crash that killed 4 people in an SUV in Grand Prairie. Anthony Morales and Jaime Mesa face charges including 4 counts of racing causing death. Mesa, driving a red Dodge Charger, was reportedly racing Morales in a white Charger when Mesa's car collided with the SUV. Mesa was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Witnesses say Morales drove away but was arrested the next day. A 5th person in the SUV remains in critical condition. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News, now at 5, the Harris Walz campaign raises more in fundraising efforts amid protests. Also ahead, how the U.S. is preparing for a possible Iranian attack on Israel. Vice President Harris raised more than $12 million for her campaign over the weekend. Harris spoke at a fundraiser in her hometown of San Francisco Sunday. The event was her first in the Bay Area since becoming the Democratic Party's de facto presidential nominee. The sold-out fundraiser was packed with donors, supporters, and California politicians. However, outside, some protesters gathered, upset over the Biden-Harris administration's stance on the war in Gaza. And now fears are growing that Iran could soon launch a full-scale attack on Israel. Multiple sources warn an attack could happen any day.
Let's not take the path down to more war to the point that we're entering Dante's Inferno of hell.
Some analysts say a Mideast regional war could explode soon, and the U.S. might end up involved. Multiple sources say Iran is considering a full-scale attack on Israel.
Israeli intelligence services see more and more preparations in Iran and by Hezbollah in Lebanon for some sort of a joint or coordinated attack against Israel.
Iran supports Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, and the White House considers those groups Iranian proxies. All three say they want revenge on Israel for the recent assassination of Hamas's political leader in Tehran. Already, Hezbollah and Israel report exchanging rocket fire. Now, the worry is Iran itself could attack Israel directly.
It will affect the lives of every person on this planet in terms of inflationary pressures, joblessness, and despair.
The Pentagon says Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered a guided missile sub to the area. It says he's accelerating the transit of a carrier strike group.
We're there to tell the Iranians, don't do this. Hezbollah, don't do this, because you are now calling upon, you will be having the United States respond, and we will respond in a way you may not anticipate.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Hezbollah also vows revenge for Israel's killing of its top commander. Meanwhile, pro-Iranian militants in Iraq are threatening to retaliate if the U.S. targets Iraqis on their country's soil. They're also warning the U.S. not to use Iraqi airspace for attacks on Iran. Now, a fire near a Russian-occupied power plant is raising fears of a meltdown. Local officials called it a provocation by Russian forces and urged action from the Western allies and the UN atomic watchdog. Ukraine and Russia traded blame, with Ukraine reportedly Russian forces set tires on fire to stage the incident. Ukrainian President Zelensky accused Russia of using the plant to blackmail Ukraine and exploit Western fears. Russian officials claim Ukrainian forces shield the plant. Now, nearly 3/4 of U.S. adults are overweight or have obesity. The types and amounts of food and drinks that are consumed play a huge role.
The journey to health isn't always easy. Even if you're eating the right things, you may still struggle with weight, consuming something you may not even realize, which is why it's critical to pay close attention to food labels, says Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
First things first, check the number of servings in the package. This is really important. Sometimes you think the calorie count is for the whole package, but in fact, it just represents one serving. A lot of people get tripped up by this.
Gupta says the number of calories and nutrients needed daily are different for everyone and varies based on things like age, size, and overall health. For example, if you have high blood pressure, you'll need to consume less sodium than others.
Now, look at the daily value of nutrients, the DV. It's based on an average 2,000 calorie diet, and it can help serve as a guideline for how many nutrients you should be getting. A good trick to help you gauge whether the food contains enough of a nutrient is to use the 5-20 rule. If the DV percent is 5% or less, that means it's relatively low in the nutrient, obviously. 20% or more, fairly high.
Also, make sure to look at the ingredient list. Gupta says the first few listed make up the bulk of the food, so make sure there's not too much fat, sugar, or salt.
Finally, watch out for words you can't pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't eat it.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A study published by the journal Cancer says global cancer deaths among men are projected to surge in the next 2 decades. Researchers forecast an 84% increase of cancer cases from 10 million in 2022 to 19 million in 2050. Deaths are projected to rise from 5.4 million to 10.5 million, and deaths by prostate cancer will likely see the highest increases. A national study finds young children are faring worse academically than their peers before the pandemic. The problem's scope in Texas remains unclear. To read the story, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's rather warm, toasty, I guess, 96 degrees out there. It feels like 106, and if you are outdoors today, you know the difference in the temperature and, of course, what the heat index does for you. Our official high was 97, just 1 degree off the average, but it just feels warm. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, it's August, right? Then it's September, and then November, October, and then finally we'll get a little bit of cool down, but it will be a while. Coming up, we'll be talking about 1 or 2 little isolated showers, and we're taking a look at the tropics. All that after this. Welcome back, everybody. Yes, I mentioned there's two little showers, one right there north of Victoria headed to Cuero. It's not really much of anything, so if you see it, you'll see the cloud top building, but it's already beginning to decrease. And there's another one over here in the Wharton area coming down the highway there, but this is it. That's it. Tomorrow is a little bit better chance because we've got a big tropical surge of moisture coming in, but pressure is just so high on top of us, it's just not going to allow for much development. There you see the current temperatures, as you can tell, 96 in Victoria, 90 down in Seabrift. That's almost cool down there. Fortran at 96, Cuero at 95, and Karina City at 99. Just what can you do? The next couple of days, the next week is going to look just like this as temperatures continue hovering right under the triple-digit mark. We have heat advisories up for the coastal areas because of the humidity and the heat. We've dried up a little bit here. That's why actually the heat index came down a bit. So slightly drier air as opposed to slightly more humid air along the immediate coastline. That makes the difference on the heat advisory. But you know it's hot. I was driving around through Riverside Park and saw some guys playing golf out there. I'm going, I hope they made it to 9 holes. I mean, good luck. Otherwise, to me, it's one of those kind of days where you just want to stay indoors. Stay hydrated, get plenty of breaks in the afternoon, limit your strenuous outdoor activity, check on the elderly, don't leave anybody in the back seat, and if you just need to cool down, find a public space. Well, out in the Atlantic, as I promised you last week, Ernesto has formed. Ernesto was that easterly wave that began over here, sort of struggled, and then finally got away from all the dust in the atmosphere and started organizing. Let's go see where it is located. There is Ernesto. Here would be the Windward Islands right about here, and there would be probably Puerto Rico right there. So it is going to go over the islands as a, shall we say, tropical storm. So that's 49 mile an hour wind, 39 mile an hour winds. They'll be getting some gusty winds and some heavy rain coming through, but no huge monster storm winds. Now, when it emerges off of Puerto Rico and in Puerto Rico and gets back into the Atlantic, that's when it's really expected to expand into a major hurricane. The good news, it's not going to be bothering anybody on land. Remember last week I showed you these two lines. This would be worst case scenario. This would be best case scenario. Well, it's turning just even earlier than that. So maybe Bermuda may be to watch that, but the rest of the country is not going to have to worry about it. And the East Coast is, shall we say, spared from any problems from there. High pressure is on top of us, and that is just not going to go away. As we've talked, the dome is just big and stable and expanding, and in that dome we have a lot of excess carbon dioxide, which is helping to heat the planet, and there you feel it. So we are, shall we say, in the low gears of summertime, and it's not going to change soon. Tomorrow, 97 expected with a few isolated afternoon showers possible, 40% in Cuero as well. There you see the 40% right there, less on Wednesday. And then as we get to the weekend, yeah, we start pushing again to see if we can break that 100-degree mark. Wouldn't that be swell? No, not really. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now 5, we're going to take a look at your stocks, plus how Chuck E. Cheese hopes to fight inflation in its restaurants. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow down 141 points, the S&P 500 up 0.23 points, and the Nasdaq down 35 points. Oil up $2.78, closing at $79.62 per barrel. Realtors nationwide are preparing for changes starting August 17th, following a $418 million settlement by the National Association of Realtors. The new rules overhaul how real estate agents are paid, requiring buyers' agents to discuss their compensation upfront and enter a written agreement with buyers before property tours. This change shifts the responsibility of paying agents to buyers if sellers decide not to cover the cost. Now, agents' compensation will no longer be listed on multiple listing services. Chuck E. Cheese is launching a nationwide monthly membership program. The basic membership is $7.99 per month with 40 games a visit and a 20% discount on both food and drinks. That goes up to a $29.99 option per month that includes 250 games and a 50% discount on food and drinks. Chuck E. Cheese operators hope the new program will attract inflation-weary customers who have cut back on spending. The membership can only be canceled after the first year is fully completed. And stay with us. We're going to take one. Let's look at your forecast with Mac when we come back. Plus, archaeologists make an incredible discovery in the buried city of Pompeii. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, the images just coming in, the earthquake rattling Los Angeles. You'll see it. Also, the new tropical storm that just formed in the Atlantic and the dramatic shift in the race for the White House, what the new polls are now showing. World News Tonight is next.
archaeologists at the buried city of Pompeii in Italy have unearthed the skeletal remains of a man and a woman, along with coins and precious jewelry. The bodies were found in a small bedroom that was being used as a temporary sleeping space while the home was being renovated. The woman's skeleton was found on the bed clutching a small bag of gold, silver, and bronze coins, as well as gold and pearl earrings. It's crazy that moment was captured.
Oh, it's a moment in time.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago, and we are able to see how they were. Obviously, she was holding her money because she didn't know.
She thought she was probably going to escape.
They were trying to evacuate when they heard the Mount Vesuvius roaring, and people got caught. It's just it's fascinating that people frozen 2,000 years ago, some with children. Yeah.
But one we can definitely learn from.
And today, really, it is a it's a laboratory for us to understand people at that time. So to have frozen that moment, it's a wonderful thing. It's a terrible thing for them, but you know we get to see almost life back in Rome back in those days. Anyway, folks, I doubt if it was this hot in Rome back 2,000 years. Well, I guess unless you're in a volcano.
They didn't have AC either.
No sea. They had a sea breeze. They had a breeze blowing in off the ocean, and we don't. We're getting a little bit of moisture tomorrow that may pop a few of those isolated afternoon showers, but other than that, we're talking serious heat because by the end of this week, we're pushing that heat index up to 110 and 112. And again, you know, I saw some guys today out there working hard, taking a break in the middle of the day, and I'm going, that's a good idea. So keep plenty of fluids on hand.
All right, thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.